Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma is proud to present The Shasteen Show from London's in downtown Tullahoma. Brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision. Now, here are your hosts, Scott Shasteen and Ken Keller.
Welcome to downtown Tullahoma on a rainy Monday night in late September. Along with Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen, and it's time for the Shasteen Show. We do this every week downtown at London's, 6 o'clock on Monday, and you're invited down here. We have got a tremendous crowd here tonight enjoying Tullahoma's best burger, coldest beer, great steak specials. Ken, this place is packed, man. It's the place to be.
It is packed. We got a bunch of rowdy rascals over here tonight, over here in the Peanut Gallery.
The Rowdy Rascals.
Making some noise.
They're here, absolutely.
But who was that sang that song, I Love a Rainy Night? Was that Eddie Rabbit?
That was little Eddie Rabbit.
Little Eddie Rabbit. I mean, you got to love a rainy night here at London's, man, with the steak on the house. And
you know, it rains a lot on Mondays in southern Middle Tennessee. You ever notice that? A lot on Mondays.
It does, man.
What a great sports weekend we had. I just want to take a minute on the front end of this program to celebrate what a tremendous sports weekend that we had. You know, I think sometimes we anticipate the great times in sports coming so much that when they come, we fail to appreciate it. We're just looking on to the next thing, and we don't stop and appreciate it. And tonight I want to start out by just stopping and appreciating the greatness of this sports weekend. I mean, the Atlanta Braves are your 2018 National League Eastern Division champions. It's the first time we can say that since 2013. It's only the second time we can say that since the run ended.
It's a stunner.
14-year run. I mean, this came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Youngest roster in youngest players in baseball, youngest team. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely out of nowhere. You know, they were projected to finish 30 games behind the Washington Nationals.
Well, by one guy.
Yeah, by one guy for sure. Maybe more than that by some others, but hey. It is what it is, and you know, if the playoffs ended today, they would match up with the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're one game ahead of them for the number 2 seed in the National League behind the Chicago Cubs. So they really need to stay ahead of the Dodgers so they can play 3 of those games in Atlanta out of 5 if necessary.
Want to get home field all you can, right?
Sure. Especially possibly facing Clayton Kershaw twice. You want to at least play him, you know, once at home.
He's pretty good.
He is.
So let's see, do I cheer for Magic or the Braves? I think I have to go with the Braves on this one.
There you go.
So that, you know, I mean, we don't want to overlook the tremendous accomplishment there and celebrate it because we know our listenership is primarily Braves fans. So, I mean, that's great for the South. I hope they do great. But if they go out in the first round of the playoffs, it is a great, great season for the Braves.
Oh, no doubt about it. I agree. They've exceeded expectations this year. Nowhere projected in the playoffs in any prognostications that I saw early in the season. So congratulations to the Atlanta Braves and all their fans.
And then also this weekend, we don't want to overlook the tremendous win by the Tennessee Titans over the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you had asked me last week, and you may have, I don't remember.
We did.
My Super Bowl picks would have been Jacksonville and the Los Angeles Rams. Those were, I thought, the 2 best teams in football heading into the weekend. And for the Titans to go down to Jacksonville and beat the Jaguars, was it ugly? Absolutely. If you don't like defense and that sort of thing, it was a boring game. But for the Titans to find a way to win that game and now be 2-1, 2-0 in the AFC South, man, that's, I mean, their first 4 games are murderer's row, and now they're playing with house money against the Eagles next week. They go 2-2 in them first 2. I'm good with that. I thought they'd go 0-4.
Oh, yeah. And you look at their division, the AFC South, and you look at the Houston Texans sitting there 0-3, have gotten really good quarterback play out of Deshaun Watson. And now the Titans, after they lay an egg really against the Dolphins in that strange game that had a 4-hour weather delays at Miami, they come back and win back-to-back games, improbable games, that I did not think they would win either game. They win both. 9-6. You talked about it being an ugly game. I would rather win ugly than lose pretty, and any coach would, no doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
This
9-6 field goal battle.
This weekend, LeBron James put on a Los Angeles Lakers uniform for the first time. All right? 23 in the purple and gold.
Yeah.
And we're going to look back at LeBron James like we look back at the 3 or 4 or 5 greatest players in the history of the sport. So appreciate this season while he's with the purple and gold. When we win again, I know I'm going to appreciate that. And I know as a Celtic fan, you will too, kid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that rivalry is going to come back. I heard Stephen A. Smith say that if the Lakers got one more player, that they were going to win the West, the Western Conference.
Yeah, that player
over the Golden State
Warriors. That player better be really, really good.
So
like
I mean, but
Magic in his prime kind of player.
Yeah, really. Yeah, but that, I mean,
I think they might be 2 or 3 players away. I don't agree with Stephen A. on that.
Stephen A's pretty smart on his basketball, but I mean, for the Lakers,
but I don't agree with that.
You know, to be, you know, they had some rough years recently. I know you're the biggest Laker fan there was, but I guess the biggest question here is, how long is it going to take you to get your LeBron Lakers jersey and be sporting it here on the Shasteen Show? That's what I really want to know, and I think that's what our viewers want to know.
It'll be as soon as we get trivia back and you bring that as a gift.
And I'll ask a question so hard that nobody can get it, and I say, if nobody gets it, you win it.
That's what I'm thinking for, because, you know, at my current state in life, those $100 jerseys are hard to fork out the cash for.
That's right.
Another thing that made the weekend just a great sports weekend was my man Tiger Woods winning the Players Tournament Championship and almost won that $10 million. If Justin Rose doesn't get a miracle bounce on his approach shot on 18, Tiger not only wins the tournament, he wins the FedEx Cup in that $10 million. Now, he didn't get that $10 million, but, Mr. Keller, you must now account for the many times you have stated on this program and programs that preceded this program in our lifetime that Tiger Woods would never win another tournament.
Well, you're exactly right, and I'm here to eat my crow right now. You know, so it's like that rook card that's got that big rooster on her, that crow. I thought about, just for you, I was going to bring in a cereal box and wrap it up and put that big rook card right on it and bring my spoon and start eating crow out of the cereal bowl, because I did say, not once, not twice, but probably 50 times, that Tiger Woods would never win another tournament again. Hey, my hat's off to him, man. He did it. Congratulations to all the Tiger lovers out there. He's magical. What is he, 43 years old? I mean, I know he's in his 40s, but I believe that was his 80th tour win. And you think about that, you know, ladies and gentlemen, 80 tour wins. That is absolutely phenomenal. Did I pronounce that right? I do that every time I try to pronounce it.
It's phenomenal that you got that pronunciation correct.
That's exactly right. So, I mean, you know, it's hard for me to think that there's maybe 5 golfers all time that's better than him.
No way. You know, what's kind of overlooked in this story, because everybody focuses on what Tiger went through in his personal life with his family and all that mess that happened to him. That wasn't what brought him down. It staggered him. But what brought him down was his back basically separated. He had to have fusion, you know, his back fused back together. I mean, this guy, you can remember multiple times when he would try to come back, and I mean, he would just be crippled on the golf course, just fall down, writhing in pain, just unable to do anything. Had these multiple back surgeries, all these issues. It's been 5 years since the guy won a tournament, and he's back now. You know, the crowd, the TV ratings, everything for yesterday was absolutely phenomenal. I was so engulfed in that, and it was happening at the same time as the Titans were playing and that sort of thing. I just went back last night and watched the whole thing over. And he staggered and stumbled a couple of times and had some real challenges, had balls buried deep in the rough. Every time, man, he brought those things out, got himself back in good position, putted great. It is great for the game of golf. I don't really care about the Ryder Cup, but now all of a sudden, like, the Ryder Cup this weekend's huge, man. Tiger's in it.
Yeah, and you know, when Tiger plays well, that's great for golf ratings and great for the game of golf. And, you know, I'll just say it now. You know, I said he would never win one, but I've ate my crow. You know, it didn't taste too good going down, but he's going to win again. I mean, his confidence now has got to be soaring that he can go out and beat all those young studs that's in the game right now and dominate like he did, win going away. That's fantastic for him.
So, you know, the key for Tiger is to be ahead after 54 holes. That's how he's won every major that he's won. And if he can just, you know, it's pretty much the end of the season, right? So if he can stay healthy, continue to get better, continue to work on that swing, I think you better watch out next year. It could be a Tiger dominant year.
I agree.
It really could. April can't get here quick enough for the Masters. But this is about appreciating what's happening now, not looking ahead to what could happen. Part of the red and black tonight is I don't have a red Nike shirt and all. So part of it is
we've asked the coaching staffs for one. In
respect to Tiger and his red and black Sunday outfit. But mostly it's about the Tullahoma Wildcats. The Tullahoma Wildcats 5-1 on the season, 2-0 in Region 4-4A. And the Tullahoma Wildcats defense giving up 10 points a game over the last 5 weeks. Winners of 5 in a row. We'll talk more about it on the other side, but Ken, that defense it's becoming great. Now it's good.
Yeah.
And again, trying not to look too far ahead. This weekend's going to tell us a whole lot more about this Tullahoma team. But we just got to stop and appreciate 5-1, folks. 2 years ago, we couldn't win a game to save our life. 21 in a row, Tullahoma lost. Don't get caught up in worrying about what's going to happen down the road. Don't get caught up in looking at the records of the teams we beat. We're 5-1.
It's amazing. Yeah, 5-1. I had them 7-3 for the year, but I may have to change my prediction and jump it up to 8-2. Maybe. We'll see.
You just make a new prediction every week? Make a new prediction every week?
No, it was 7-3 all along, but I think they got a pretty good chance to beat Nolensville this week, and I counted that as an L before the season started.
We're going to look through the high school football slate. It is a critical week coming up for a lot of teams. And, yes, we're going to talk way more college football than I even want to think about. Right now, though, we want you to come to London's. Get yourself a burger. It's happy hour. Grab yourself a beer and get one of these great new steak meals that they have. You are going to love it. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live downtown from London's. You're listening to The Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
I'm working with a home buyer from Louisiana, and he asked me what type of internet access we have in Tullahoma. So I told him all about LightTube, and he said, "You're kidding me. There's fiber optics available in Tullahoma?" And I said, "Not only that, but it's great service, most reliable. You get to work with people in Tullahoma, and it's awesome." And he said, "People need to know in Tullahoma how lucky they are."
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Centrally located to the colleges, high schools, and middle schools it serves across southern Middle Tennessee, Sports Plus is also Tullahoma's only locally owned sports store with brands like Under Armour, Wilson, Rawlings, Majestic Athletics, and New Era baseball caps. Owner Joe Barstad has something for all fans and athletes alike, from pro and college apparel to your favorite hometown team. Sports Plus also works with the latest uniform trends and technology. Learn more at sportsplustellahoma.com.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
6:15 on this rainy Monday. Welcome back to London. We appreciate you tuning in. It's always good to hear some good rock and roll in here when you're doing a talk show, and it's still going. And thank you very much. So, Tullahoma 5-1, beat Lincoln County 21-10. Slow start for the Cats, man. I think Tim Johnson's doing a great job down at Lincoln County. That team looked prepared. They look solid. They don't have a lot of speed or anything. They got some quickness. Don't have a lot of speed. Had a good running back in Jenkins, who I thought made a difference. But Tullahoma's offense, man, it's as old school as it gets, Ken, and I love it. Running game, defense, good-looking kicking game this week. That's the formula for the Wildcats.
Indeed, and I hit 2 out of those 3 really in the Stroop's tools to victory, in that avoid the pitfall. The pit's a tough place to play, and we knew that was going to be a tough game going in. Tullahoma fell behind 3-0. Lincoln County looked good on an early drive, but really what was key there was Tullahoma's defense in the red zone. Coach Olive commented on that after the game. Tullahoma had 2 really good stops in the red zone there, and that was critical. And then just ground and pound with the running game. Bryson Corn had a great game, and I saw you commented on Twitter after the game Friday night that you appreciated winning game there, defense, and smash mouth running game, and really, that's a sign of a good football team. Sometimes you don't always have your passing game clicking, but they really didn't go to the air a whole lot in the game. Only 3 passes attempted in the entire first half, 2 of those completions. But the big body blow was with the long bomb in the second half, early in the third quarter to Kobe Burks to open that lead up. And you're right, Lincoln County really scrapped. They fought. They had a couple brothers. I guess they were brothers. That number 2 and 3.
Cooper.
Yeah, them Cooper boys. They were fighters. And they kind of kept Lincoln County hanging around. Tullahoma never gave them a crease. They just shut the door on them. Big win.
Yeah, huge win for the Wildcats, and now we can, and we don't want to overlook the fact that Bryson Corn was named our Giles Dunn Diamond Company Player of the Game. He just carried the football team. 25 carries, 120 yards or so. He's up averaging over 100 yards a game. Yeah. I mean, it's young offensive line, too. You got freshmen, sophomores scattered all through that offensive line the whole game. They're playing multiple people. Offensive line's really coming together.
Yeah, we commented that several times on the game. Made sure we gave our due diligence and props to the offensive line of the Wildcats. They've really improved since that first game loss. In the midst of this 5-game winning streak, those guys have been winning some battles up front. Pass protection's been pretty good, but the run game's been solid, been there all year long.
And, defensively, 3 guys who have played an awful lot for the Wildcats, started multiple games for the Wildcats. We didn't even see them Friday night. So you've got young players stepping up, filling the gap, filling the void, next man up mentality. The defense didn't miss a beat.
Oh, no. They held them to 10 points. The crowd was loud before the game. It's tough to play. It was very muggy. We thought rain was going to come in. It would be important for Tullahoma to take that crowd out of the game early, but the defense was once again smothering. Jacoby Thomas stepping in at one of the cornerback positions. He was very good. Kobe Burks on the other side. We've talked about how good they've been playing along with Quentin Howard. Hopefully the Wildcats get him back very soon. But that front 7 has put the pressure on and made it easy for the secondary to get some interceptions in the last couple games.
And, it really has. River Jenkins, Tydrell Mitchell, Ty Cox, Matt Ross on that defensive line. Man.
And we talked about the linebackers playing better. There was one notable absence Friday night in the game. We hope we get Mr. Lane back, Samari Lane back soon. But Peyton Howard stepped up, and I thought Peyton had his best game of the season Friday night from that middle linebacker position.
Well, if you're going to mention that, then I'm going to need to throw out Jacob Floyd, Jr., who stepped in and started at linebacker, made some plays, held his own. Again, that defense didn't miss a beat, missing 3 guys that started 2 weeks ago, didn't miss a beat.
Next man up mentality.
Got to have it. You got to have it to have a good season. Last week most results were expected. One game that stands out to me that might surprise a little bit was Franklin County beating Giles County 38-30.
Yeah.
I talked to Ron Hill Saturday morning, a guest on his talk show on Saturday mornings, and I told him before the season, it's just the Mac McCurry factor, Ron. I'm telling you, half those games you think you're going to lose, you're going to win because Mac McCurry's the coach. And Franklin County's doing it.
Yeah, that's
exactly doing it.
And we saw there, how good is Tullahoma's defense? They just absolutely stymied the Rebels. When we were there a couple of weeks ago, Nail and Jean could not get anything whatsoever going in the passing game. They come out against Giles County and put up 38 points. So we'll see the Bobcats here in a few weeks.
Sure will. Big non-region game for Tullahoma. Summit doesn't seem to be the team that we thought they might be, Ken. It looks like in Region 5-5A that Page and Shelbyville are going to fight that thing out.
Yeah, Page and Shelbyville, it's going to come down to them. Summit's kind of fell back some, no doubt about it.
Other than that, really no huge surprises. Fayetteville City continues to just be maybe the worst team in high school football. It's unbelievable. Our former Tullahoma coaches, Oak Ridge, won Friday night over Sevier County. Knox Catholic got hammered by Brentwood Academy, but Brentwood Academy hammers everybody right now.
Yeah, it's not very often you see a Steve Matthews coach team be held 3 points.
Yes.
And I saw that 3 on there, and I said, this guy, former pro quarterback, played in quarterback in college, and man, you just don't hold his teams down to 3 points.
Brentwood Academy's probably got 10 Division I players on that roster. But this week, critical week. Everybody steps back into region play. Of course, Nolensville at Tullahoma will be there. It's homecoming. I hate it that the weather is bad for homecoming week. They get out and do a lot of things at the school. So hopefully the weather will clear up some for that. Nolensville at Tullahoma, 7 o'clock, Wilkins Stadium Friday night on the Rooster 101.5. Lawrence County plays at Marshall County. Lawrence County couldn't have come at a better time. The Tigers desperately need a win. They got hammered Friday by Pearl Cone.
Yeah, I think that puts them maybe at 1-4 now, if I'm not mistaken, on their overall record. So yeah, they're struggling big time.
And then Maplewood is at Spring Hill. Spring Hill is another team that desperately needs a win. They're not going to get it with Maplewood coming to town.
No, the Panthers are going to put it on the Raiders.
So Tullahoma and Nolensville play this weekend. They're both 2-0 in the region along with Maplewood. The winner of Friday night's game has an inside track to win the region championship. But it's important to keep in mind the loser Friday night is not out of anything. Remember, you get a 3-way tie. It's all about head-to-head. You get all these different tiebreakers. So fans of Tullahoma, if it doesn't go our way Friday, don't be disheartened that we can't host a first-round playoff game or even win the region championship, because those things are still be on track. But golly jeepers, a win Friday would sure push the train along, wouldn't it?
Oh, no doubt about it. And that's what Coach Olive referenced after the game. Talked about the big game this week between Nolensville after that win at Lincoln County down on the field at the pit. And he said the winner of this game, catapults, can possibly win the region championship. The loser fighting for a playoff berth. I don't think that's going to be much of a fight. I think the loser of this game, both teams are going to get in the playoffs. But Tullahoma peaking at the right time, 5 wins in a row. But I asked you before the game, we got down there at Lincoln County, and it was their homecoming night. And I said, Scott, who has the advantage in these homecoming games? I said, is it a distraction of the home team? And Scott told me pregame, not on there, he said, Coach Olive feels like his teams get distracted during homecoming weekend, and who wouldn't with all the hoopla and all going on? So he's got a challenge this week, keeping his team focused, not getting caught up in all the hoopla and all of the homecoming. Man, that's going to be a task for him and his staff to be able to keep these Wildcats grounded and ready to play like they've been the last 5 weeks.
And you just check the records back over previous years on homecoming games for Tullahoma. You'll see some really bad teams that have come into Wilkins Stadium and taken some big leads on the Cats early, and Tullahoma will have to fight back and stuff like that. Sometimes they didn't get all the way back. It's a challenge for the coaches to keep the players focused on homecoming. I'm sure Lincoln County had to go through that last week, and that may have been part of the deal. Tullahoma's going to have to go through that this week, but they can't afford to be distracted or down against Nolensville. That's a good football team.
Yeah, they beat us pretty good, 28-14 last year. They pretty much whipped us. But that defense for Tullahoma has improved vastly. I know I picked Tullahoma to lose this game in our preseason picks. One of the 3 losses I had targeted for the Wildcats. I don't know. Where are you leaning on this one?
Well, it's a whole new deal now. It's a whole new deal.
It is.
Obviously, my 4-6 record has already been beaten. So anything that I say or think about Tullahoma football games is totally meaningless. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I can describe the action as it's happening on the field. That is all I know about Tullahoma football. Nothing else. So I have no prediction. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I hope it's a great game Friday night. I hope my team wins.
The peanut gallery says you're copping out on your pick.
No, they know what I'm saying is true.
Yeah.
That I know nothing.
Yeah,
that's what they know.
I picked Nolensville to win this game, and I think I'm going to stick with that pick. I'm going to Tullahoma's been hot. I think they're going to be distracted by homecoming just enough, but I think this is going to be a very good ball game, a touchdown type ball game. I think this is going to be a very exciting game. I hope Tullahoma can pull it off. I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm going to give the Knights a slight advantage in this game to beat the Wildcats.
Big games in every region this week. Everybody's fighting for the playoffs, but Franklin County goes to Summit. Again, Summit not quite the powerhouse they were last year. I think Franklin County's got a great chance to get a win Friday night in Summit and really advance their playoff hopes.
I like that pick. Nayland Jean, they were just missing against Tullahoma just off of the execution in the passing game. Maybe they got that going last week. I'll go with the Rebels as well.
Page heads to the pit to play Lincoln County. Lincoln County, another team that's just trying to get up there in that playoff conversation. But I'm afraid they're running into the hottest team in 5A right now, and that's the Page Patriots.
Yeah, the Falcons are overmatched. Tim Johnson does have them playing a physical style of football. They're just out-athleted right now. They just don't have the horses. They'll put up a fight for about a quarter and a half, but Page is going to win that one going away.
And Shelbyville gets the biggest gift of all on Friday night, White County at home.
The gift that keeps on giving.
The gift of White County. Oakland goes to Coffee County. Ken, what's your score prediction? Oakland at Coffee County.
I'm going to say that game's going to be 55-0.
I'm going to go 71-0. Oakland. That game can be heard. All the excitement of Oakland at Coffee County can be heard right here on 93.9 The Duck Friday night on Whiskey Country. 105.1 Franklin Grace is at Moore County. Now, tell me what you know about Franklin Grace.
I don't.
Nothing.
No.
I know this. They're terrible. So that's going to be a big win for Moore County. Dave, enjoy that down in Lynchburg Friday night. Great games on all 3 of our stations. All right, I got to face the music. I got to take my humiliation coming up next. But I need a break before I accept it because it's going to be painful and take a while to recover. College football is next. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Centrally located to the colleges, high schools, and middle schools it serves across southern Middle Tennessee. Sports Plus is also Tullahoma's only locally owned sports store with brands like Under Armour, Wilson, Rawlings, Majestic Athletics, and New Era baseball caps. Owner Joe Barstad has something for all fans and athletes alike. From pro and college apparel to your favorite hometown team, Sports Plus also works with the latest uniform trends and technology. Learn more at sportsplustullahoma.com.
Do you need more? More golf, hunting, or camping? More basketball, soccer, and baseball? Do you need more football? Do you just need more sports? LightTube's digital sports tier has more sports. Offering 12 additional sports channels for only $3 additional a month. What are you waiting on? Call 455-4515 and get more today.
93.9 The Duck, your local radio station playing the classic hits you know and love. The Duck covers all your local high school and college sports, from the Shasteen Show on Monday nights to Alabama football on Saturdays. Spreading the word to our listeners about your local business from southern Middle Tennessee to North Alabama is what the Duck does. If you're a new business looking to grow or an established business looking to expand, the Duck has a custom plan to fit your needs. So become part of the flock with 93.9 The Duck.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back to London's on this wet Monday night, The Shasteen Show. We're about halfway through here. During the break, we're just looking at Vol Twitter. It's continued to be supremely entertaining since Saturday night. Kirby Smart said today that if Tennessee doesn't turn the ball over 6 times against Florida, it's probably a different game. Wow. Really, Kirby?
That's a revelation.
That's brilliant. Wow, man.
That's a revelation.
That Kirby Smart, he's got some deep insight.
He does.
Wonderful from Vols Tim 85 puts a picture of Tiger Sunday afternoon after the win with his arms raised jubilantly. Vol fans before the game Saturday, and then puts a picture of Tiger on his arrest mugshot. Vol fans after the game on Saturday. Yeah. And then Sunshine, one of my favorite Vol Twitter followers, is Whiskey Girl 33. Sunshine says, "I wish my mattress was as soft as my football team. I'd sleep like a blankety-blank baby."
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
Well, I've got a funny one for you, and this is a Vol guy that I follow on Twitter. His name's Vol Colonel. I don't know who this guy is. He wears this orange mask, like a wrestling mask, to cover his identity up, but he's been following the Vols since the 60s. He said this today, and I wrote this one down because I did think it was pretty good. He said, "You have a better chance of winning the Powerball than the Vols beating Georgia Saturday." So that was my Vol Colonel. I mean, he's crazy.
Well, you know, and look, Georgia's a great football team, and we'll do our picks and all that stuff.
We'll do that later.
But, you know, how many people gave Old Dominion a chance on Saturday, right?
That's a great point. And what does that speak? We bagged on the Big Ten. They had their bad week as a conference last week. But what about the ACC? So Miami comes out and loses to LSU in week 1. Clemson barely gets by Texas A&M at College Station on a controversial call and a fumble that goes over the pylon. And then supposedly the second best team, maybe in the ACC, Virginia Tech Hokies, get beat by Old Dominion. Come on, man. ACC.
Justin Fuentes taking it on the chin for the Hokies. All right, so, you know, I mean, what do I say? What do I say?
What do you say? What I say? I picked Tennessee too.
It ain't about the pick, son. Your blood ain't orange.
That's true.
So it's a little deeper than just making a pick.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You had the emotional side.
A little bit emotional.
Yeah.
Humiliation, disappointment, disgust.
Yeah.
There's a lot of words can go out there, but for me, I'm not losing confidence. I'm not wavering one bit on what I think Jeremy Pruitt is going to do at the University of Tennessee. Were the Vols totally not ready for the lights of prime time against the Gators in front of 100,000? Absolutely not ready. Choke city. I mean, they were just so overwhelmed. You saw it. They couldn't do anything. Couldn't do anything. But I'm not losing faith or confidence in the staff or the players. We're 4 games in to a totally new coaching staff with a totally different philosophy, which is looking for totally different types of players than the players that we've got. There's a few of their own that they've got, but for the most part, somebody else's players, somebody else's habits, somebody else's leftovers. All that's going to change in the next couple of years. By the end of this year, this Tennessee team is going to be playing solid football. I'm confident in it. You learn a lot more from adversity than you do from winning. Learn a lot more from losing than you do from winning. And we got more lessons Saturday afternoon than we could have got in 4 games before that. I haven't lost confidence, but man, it was terrible because Florida was beatable. They were beatable. They were no better of a football team than Tennessee. Just check the stats. They are even down the line. 6 turnovers. I've seen Tennessee turn the ball over 6 times and win football games. I saw it in an SEC championship game, 1997. Damian Craig and the Auburn Tigers. Tennessee turned it over 6 times and beat Auburn for the SEC championship. Not this week. Not this Tennessee team. That team was great. Hello, Leonard Little. But Tennessee just didn't have enough to overcome. They kept playing. I thought they quit halfway through the 3rd quarter. And then Jeremy Banks came in the game, and they all started sort of playing again because he kept playing. I want Jeremy Banks and Ty Chandler to be the only 2 running backs I see in the backfield. Tim Jordan and London, just go sit down. Jeremy Banks and Ty Chandler need to be running the ball for Tennessee. We've reached getting to the midway point of the season, giving everybody a chance. Sit those 2 guys down. Chandler and Banks at running back. Homegrown Tennessee boys need to be carrying that load. That's all I got, Ken. That's all I got for the show. It's yours.
Well, let me see if I can make you feel better, but I think I'm going to make you feel a little worse.
Good.
Based on what you said.
By the way, let me just say, the last thing I'll say is I watched every second until the end.
Yeah.
I was not going away. I needed to feel the pain all the way to the end, and I did.
Yeah. Well, maxim number 1, the team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. Okay, that's number 1 on UT's maxim board right there. They come out with 4 first-half turnovers. Listen to these drives in the first half. It's incredible. Fumble, interception, turnover on downs, field goal. That was, of course, after the big stick by. Hey, got to give the boy in Coffee County props. Alante Taylor run blitzed, caused a big fumble. They get a field goal out of that drive. Then safety, fumble into the half. Second half kickoff, Schamberger fumbles. They go from 26-3 down to 33-3 down. The fans head to the exit. The only person that beat the fans out of the stadium was Cortez Sapp. So Tennessee has a lot of problems. I projected them to win this game. I projected them to go 7-5 on the season. I picked them to beat Florida, Missouri, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt.
You're about as good of a college football picker as I am high school.
Yeah, and I'm pretty good on college, but I'm not so sure I can pick them to beat any of those teams now. I'm serious. I watched Kentucky Saturday. Kentucky was solid. They've got a big win against Mississippi State. Vanderbilt against Notre Dame last week. Missouri put up 29 points against the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm worried about this team. I'm worried for a couple reasons. Number 1, the play calling and Tyson Helton, and I'm going to be critical of it, okay? They were down 23-3 before they attempted their first down pass. They ran on first down every single time, every drive until they got behind 20 points. You cannot be that predictable. You have to mix it up. When the other team expects run, throw the ball. When they expect pass, run the ball. Okay, so I did not like the play calling a bit. Second thing I want to address is, did Jeremy Pruitt panic when Tennessee got behind 14-3? Okay? The announcer, Rodney Gilmore, kept referencing, this is desperation by Jeremy Pruitt. I don't necessarily think it was. I think it was gutsy. He was trying to get his team in it, kick an onside kick. Tennessee had 4 guys around the ball on onside kick, and if the one did his job that was supposed to and hit the guy that was fixing to field the ball, they would have recovered that. Just a series of bad breaks. You have that wheel route. Perfectly called 4th down play to Austin Pope. He's stretching for the end zone. The ball gets knocked through the end zone. Incredible bad luck, but good teams make their breaks. But that first maxim, the team that makes the fewest mistakes wins. You had 6 turnovers, Jeremy Pruitt. You stressed ball security in practice. You practice it every day except Thursday. What in the world happened? Your team was not prepared to win. You had 2 cupcakes the last 2 weeks. You had the 1998 National Championship team there. You had a sellout. Florida returned 4,000 of their tickets. They didn't think they was going to win the game. You come into the game relatively injury-free, and you laid an egg and lose 47-21. The season for the Vols is over. That game was huge. They've lost 10 straight games now in the SEC. 10 SEC games in a row. It's fixing to be 14 based on who they got. They got Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina. They're going to lose all those games. I hope they can pull it together for Missouri and Kentucky and Vanderbilt. But, Scott, I'm worried about them.
Well, we appreciate your concern, Ken. We really do. But I'm not. I'm not worried about them. We went 4-8 last year.
Yep.
3-9's just one game worse.
True.
I think we can take Charlotte. I feel good about the Charlotte game. I'm pointing towards the Charlotte game.
Yep.
I think that's going to be a good test for the Vols. I feel good about it. I believe we can take Charlotte. I think we can pull 3-9 out of this thing. I really do.
That's crazy, but because I know you picked them 6-6, I picked them 7-5. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions that I want to ask you that I wrote down that I had planned out to ask you, and I want you to answer them honestly. Do you feel now, just after that game, I know you've got a sample size of what? They're 2-2. I mean, they're not under 500 yet, but based on what they have coming up, was Jeremy Pruitt, hindsight 2020, the right coach for the job for the Tennessee Vols at the right time?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So do you think he got a little too demonstrative on the sidelines as far as kicking the bulletin board and getting the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the sidelines? Did you have any problem with any of that?
No.
Okay. After the game, I like that one-word answers here, partner. You're so blunt and honest. I love it. But, hey, you're shooting me straight. Okay, so got to bring this up, okay? Is there some dissension going on in the team? Is he losing some players? Are some of these players that he did not recruit still loyal to Lyle Butch Jones? And specifically, I'm talking about the Corte Sapp incident. Right after the game was over, Jeremy Pruitt goes into the press conference and says, we told Corte he'd been doing all the things in the offseason, had done good so far. We told him to go into the game. He refused, so I sent him to the locker room. Corte Sapp comes out with a statement Monday morning after the game, or Sunday morning after the game, and says he was not told to go back on the field. So somebody's not telling the complete truth here, Scott.
So Corte Sapp and Jeremy Pruitt met yesterday afternoon. They figured out where the miscommunication was. Corte Sapp back on the team, back on the practice field today. No suspension, no discipline. It was a misunderstanding. Losing the team. Now Alabama's starting to come out because you don't just want us to get beat. You want to just bury the program and say the coaching hire was wrong. He's losing the team. It's all falling apart. It's all going crazy.
You're getting like Jimmy. You're freaking out now on the sidelines, man. Just hold your composure.
None of those things that you said are happening.
Look, I think Jeremy Pruitt's going to be a very good coach. Okay, but right now he just does not have the players to do what he wants to do. Big recruiting weekend for the Vols. Wayne Moore said he can't wait to get to Knoxville even after the blowout. Okay. Also, Darnell Wright, a big 5-star offensive tackle. They got a good chance of getting him, but it's going to take more than that. They're going to have to get some running backs, receivers. Every position is going to have to be flipped. And you're going to see this roster turn over after the season's over with. You're going to see a lot of people leave Knoxville, and this roster really change dramatically, kind of like it did this year. I'm not ready to give up on Jeremy Pruitt. I picked them 7-5. I still think Missouri, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt are winnable games along with Charlotte. I think they can get to 6-6.
So now you're going to have to pick one side of the fence because 5 minutes ago, you said Tennessee's season was over, and now you're not ready to give up.
The Missouri game is going to be tougher than I projected, and certainly with the emergence of the Kentucky Wildcats, now beating Florida and the big win over Mississippi State, 17 in the nation, they're much stronger than I thought. So they do have a couple opponents on there that are better than I thought in the preseason, Missouri and Kentucky specifically. Derek Mason, I don't think he can beat them. But they got to get to 6 wins to make a bowl game. I think it's possible, but I wouldn't put any money on it. That's all I'm saying.
What kind of world do we live in where Kentucky is ranked 17th in the nation in football, And Tennessee is ranked 4th in the nation in basketball.
Hey, wait a minute. What
the hell is going on
it's
out
turned
here?
it upside down, and the Braves win their division.
It's
Pick by 30.
crazy,
It is crazy.
man.
And Tiger Woods wins, so it is crazy, man.
Hey, let's come back and pick some games. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
93.9 The Duck, your local radio station playing the classic hits you know and love. The Duck covers all your local high school and college sports, from the Shasteen Show on Monday nights to Alabama football on Saturdays. Spreading the word to our listeners about your local business from southern Middle Tennessee to North Alabama is what the Duck does. If you're a new business looking to grow or an established business looking to expand, the Duck has a custom plan to fit your needs. So become part of the flock with 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back to London's. Having a good time on a Monday night, talking little college football here, along with Ken Keller. I'm Scott Shasteen. We appreciate you tuning in. Hope you will come down to London's. If you can't make it tonight, try tomorrow night, Wednesday night, whatever. They're open every day. Great food, great burgers, cold beer, great steaks. You want it? London is it. We got a full house in here tonight. This is fantastic. Alabama handled Texas A&M workmanlike fashion.
Yeah, Tua had another great game. He was named SEC Offensive Player of the Week this week. Threw for 387 yards and 4 touchdowns, ran for another. Scott, he is still not taking a snap in the fourth quarter of this season. That's having an incredible season. 14 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 73% completion percentage. The guy he's the best left-handed quarterback I've seen since Steve Young.
So Heisman frontrunner, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think is. What about Oklahoma and Army? Man, I flipped through all the channels. I can't find that game. I want to see Army pull the upset. They take Oklahoma to overtime and run like 73 plays on that Sooner defense. They lose 28-21 in overtime. I was really wanting Army. What an upset.
60 minutes of football, Army held the ball 45 minutes.
Wow. Hey, there was a few years ago, Appalachian State beat Michigan. I think if Army would have beat Oklahoma was 5 at the time. I think they might have dropped to number 6. That would have been a bigger upset.
I disagree. Appalachian State was a FCS Division II program at the time that they beat Michigan. Anytime a Division II program beats a big Power 5 conference team.
But Michigan was like a D2 team the way they played.
Yeah, but they were really good at the time, Michigan was. But it would have been a big upset, no doubt. And, hats off to the Cadets, man. They just kept fighting.
Yeah.
Kept fighting. I'm like you, though. I think everybody tried to find that game, but it was a pay-per-view game. You couldn't find it.
Yeah, and it was ironic. They showed the replay in overtime, and lo and behold, Army runs, 97% of the time they get picked off in the overtime, try to throw a pass to the end zone.
It's like,
what are you doing? Just run the ball, man.
Be who you are.
Yeah, there's no clock in overtime.
So other games from this weekend that stood out to you? Anything?
The biggest one that stood out, of course, Alabama took care of business against Texas A&M. Jimbo Fisher calling a timeout with 3 seconds left, trying to score a touchdown by that many points. He said he almost got his quarterback killed on that last play, by the way. But the big one that stood out to me was the upset of Kentucky and their physical dominance over the Mississippi State Bulldogs to launch them in number 17 in the top 25. Did that one surprise you?
Absolutely. That surprised me more than any game in the SEC,
Yes.
I think, because I really felt like Mississippi State would handle Kentucky. I didn't think Florida was that good, so I didn't think Kentucky's win over Florida was that impressive, even though they dominated Florida. But now that Mississippi State, Kentucky's beat them like they did, Kentucky's for real. They're really good. Tennessee fans, it took Mark Stoops, how long has he been there? 5-6 years?
And they hung with him, boy. And that guy went through some miserable seasons.
Absolutely.
I mean, no doubt. He lost those close games. Remember all the years to Florida. He would lose on the last play of the game and snatch.
But the key thing that you said there is they hung with him.
They hung with him.
Okay, you might not have a coach might have to grow into being a really good head coach, but sometimes you got to have the patience to allow a person to grow into that, and I think that's what Kentucky has done.
Well, and you said one thing that stood out to me when you were talking about the Vols. You said a couple of the players quit, and I think a couple of them did, but you know what? The fans quit before the players did.
Yeah,
because when that
that
first touchdown in the third quarter, when you start going to the exits right there, what kind of signal does that send to your team?
You know what? Let me just say this, and then we'll go on and talk about the guy. I just resent any time anybody puts anything on the fans of a team. I resent it when players or coaches or whatever say, we need everybody out this week. These boys need you. Bull crap, okay? Anybody that didn't leave at halftime of that game needs to rethink their priorities, okay? I think every single fan that left at halftime of the game or any time early during the game had a right to leave whenever they wanted to during the game. They paid the money. They drove up there to do it. If they don't like the product they're seeing on the field, leave. They don't owe anything to those kids to stay in the stands and suffer through that sort of humiliation. No.
Rant over, man. Whoa, how about that? Dave getting some high five.
Any good games? Any good games we want to pick this week?
Oh man, I didn't mean to get off on all that. Now, I'll tell you, we got some great games to pick this weekend. Let's start off with Arkansas travels to College Station.
Though, man.
You did. You released, man. Arkansas travels to Texas A&M. A&M 21-point favorites.
The worst thing about the 2018 college football season is that Arkansas and Tennessee don't play.
Yeah.
So Arkansas is going to get drubbed by A&M. They're going to get drubbed by everybody. They're the only SEC program in worse shape right now than Tennessee.
I agree at this time. Southern Miss, there's some blasé games this week. Southern Miss travels to Auburn. Auburn favored by 31.
Yeah, I'm not really super impressed with Auburn. I haven't seen Southern Miss play. I have no idea what they have. I know sometimes they can put out a pretty solid product. So I'll just say that I think Southern Miss covers that 31 line.
I agree with you. I don't think Brett Favre's going to come back and play in this game, so there's not going to be an upset for Southern Miss, but I think they play it closer than 31 points. This one's a biggie right here, I think. This is an intriguing game. Dan Mullen and the Florida Gators go back to Mississippi State, the team that he left last year. Mississippi State, this line started at 9 points. I think that's a pretty big line. It dropped to 7. Florida at Mississippi State. Does Dan Mullen beat his old team, or does his old team beat him?
Here's what I always think in those deals. I believe the players have a lot more influence in that than the coach. Yes, Dan Mullen left Florida for Mississippi State, but Dan can't block and tackle. And the players on that Mississippi State, on that Florida team, they don't care about Mississippi State, right? I mean, they don't care. They got the coach, but they don't care anything about the player. But the players on Mississippi State, they all want to beat Dan Mullen because he left them.
Yeah.
So I believe that's always in favor of the players. I like Mississippi State.
I think I'm like you. I think that Mississippi State have been looking ahead last week to Kentucky and didn't play as good as they normally would. I'm not making excuses or taking anything away from Kentucky, but I think I like Mississippi State to win. Maybe they're not going to cover a field goal game right there. South Carolina, this one shocked me, the point spread. South Carolina travels to Kentucky, and the Gamecocks are 2-point favorites.
Well, now, yeah. Why does that shock you?
I thought Kentucky would be favored against South Carolina in that game.
You know how Vegas works, right? Right? Their goal is to get even money on both sides, and then they always win.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who wins. Don't be shocked if this is not a 2-point game, for one thing. It's hard to. I'm not picking against Kentucky right now.
I'm not either.
I don't think Will Muschamp is a quality head coach, so I like Kentucky.
I'll take Kentucky as well, and even though they're the underdogs. I'll take the dog at home. They're playing well right now. Ole Miss.
But this is one of those kind of games, before we go to the next.
Yeah.
This is one of those kind of games where most people are going to look at that line, and they're going to take Kentucky, aren't they?
Yep.
Kentucky's rolling. They've just sort of physically dominated to Florida and Mississippi State.
Yep.
South Carolina's just sort of been hanging back here.
Yep.
Don't be shocked. Gamecocks don't cover that line.
I agree.
I think most of the money will be on Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kentucky at home, but this could go either way. Ole Miss getting 2 touchdowns traveling to the LSU Tigers.
Boy, it's a shame that explosive offense for Ole Miss is sort of being wasted on a team that can't go to, bowl or anything like that. LSU's just rolling. What's the line?
14 points.
In Oxford?
No, it's at LSU.
In Baton Rouge?
Yeah.
What time they play, you know?
It's probably going to be a night game.
Probably going to be a night game in Baton Rouge. I'm going with LSU.
Yeah, I think LSU's the second best team in the SEC West right now, second in the West.
Who's CBS got this week?
CBS has a big game this week. The Tennessee Volunteers and Jeremy Pruitt travel to play Kirby Smart.
Aren't they supposed to?
And the Georgia Bulldogs.
Don't they usually try to put their best game on?
Hey, that is a
Why do they want to put 55-10 on? I mean, Tennessee's not going to turn the ball over 6 times.
Yeah, well,
they're really not.
They picked this game as a 2-week window. They picked it 2 weeks ago and had no idea. They thought that Florida-Tennessee game was going to be a tighter matchup than it was. Hey, maybe Tennessee bounced back and plays a lot better. The big thing here is Jarrett Guarantano going to play. Do you know if has anything been released on him yet?
I have not seen.
Tennessee needs him to play to keep this game respectable. Georgia beat them 41-0 last year. Tennessee's going to score in this game. I think they'll fight for maybe a half, but Georgia's got too much. They're the number 2 team in the nation.
What's the line, 35.5?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, I need 2 more games.
Alabama, 53-point favorites against Louisiana Lafayette.
Alabama. You?
I think Alabama as well. They're going to score 50 or 60. Biggest game this week in college football is in the Big Ten this week. The Ohio State Buckeyes travel to play the Penn State Nittany Lions in the featured ABC game on Saturday night. Who do you like? 2
teams you love to hate. I'll take Ohio State.
I'm going to take Penn State in the whiteout at home. So we'll see what happens. I'll go with Franklin. Is it Jeremy Franklin? What's his name? James Franklin. Jay Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions in the whiteout.
That is a wrap for this edition of the Shasteen Show. For Dave and Smash and Ken, I'm Scott Shasteen. Be good to each other.
The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision, is a presentation of Bowman Media Company and 93.9 The Duck. The show is taped before a live audience at London's in downtown Tullahoma, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Come join us for cold beer and Tullahoma's best burgers. Thanks for watching The Shasteen Show on LightTube Channel 23.